Hello and welcome to Snappy Dragon, where we are sewing Victorian athletic clothes. I love modern wide-leg trousers and have wanted to make a late Victorian split skirt for a while, the sort of thing worn for cycling and other sports around the turn of the century. I've never made shaped trousers before, so a mock-up will be essential. However, thanks to my fickle health, this mock-up was basted by hand, modified, and then promptly abandoned for several weeks. Finally ready to get back to work on the split skirt. So we have a mock-up, and let's take a look at what it actually got us. I made this mock-up by hand because, well, I wasn't feeling up to getting out of bed. It's just all of the pattern pieces cut out of a sort of firm, stiff cotton muslin to give an idea of fit. I really only needed the top section that fits over the hip and the top of the legs to get an idea of how it fits there. I am, in terms of body type, what one might call blessed of strong glute muscles on account of a combination of genetics and ballet classes. And I frequently have a problem finding pants that fit in the low hip. So I was worried that the rise on these was not going to be the right shape, and I was correct. It did need a bit of adjustment. Here's the curve on the pattern piece, and I mean, without disassembling this mock-up, I have taken a slightly different shape of rise curve on. So I've clipped into the seam allowance and then changed the rise curve and brought it lower. So I've got basically an additional inch that it is further away from my body. When I put the mock-up on and pinned it closed, before I made this adjustment, it was mostly fine until I started really moving around in it. I tried taking some really big steps. I tried doing some lunges, stuff that would normally cause most trousers to, shall we say, creep up uncomfortably. And it only started doing that then, but I don't want this doing that at all. Curving this out and adding that additional space should help. Most of what I've read about glute adjustments on trousers, shall we say, says that you need to add whatever extra fabric you're taking out here, you need to add it back in elsewhere. I just need to transfer this deeper curve over to the pattern piece, and then I should be ready to cut these trousers, split skirt, whatever you want to call them, out. I'm making these from a lightweight strawberry red wool twill that was gifted to me by the wonderful Katie of Latina Living History. It turned out to have a little bit of spandex in it, which I normally would not buy, but will quite happily accept as a gift. That's how I got the idea to test these out, since I do yoga at home most days. These are basically going to be Victorian yoga pants. Stretchy, comfy, and good for movement. I've already worked out in a Victorian corset to prove it's possible, so why not do yoga in a split skirt to prove the same? There are 8 panels total, 2 each of center fronts, side backs, and center backs. They go together a lot like a skirt, which shouldn't have surprised me as much as it did. I'm pinning the long seams in pairs, but leaving the inseam between center front and center back open. Past V didn't know this, but a mistake is currently being made here. If you line up the notches on the center front and side front panels, you get an extra inch at the top of the center front panels. The correct thing to do is line up the notches and cut the excess off, as I discovered when I lined up the top edges and had to go back and fix it. This pattern has a lot of variations for the front closure, so I think that's why that extra inch is there. This pattern has 5/8 inch seam allowances instead of the 1/2 inch I'm used to, so this magnetic seam guide will remind me of that. Viewers who get nervous every time I sew over a pin will be happy to see that the seam guide forces me to take them out. Also, I use silk pins, which on the 2 occasions ever I've hit one with a needle, they just bend. Highly recommend. Next come all the long construction seams, so now seems like a good moment to hand things off to sponsorship V so you don't get too bored watching me sit here. Working more movement into my life means I also need to be paying attention to eating better, and I do not mean going on a diet or anything like that. We do not do food shaming here. I'm talking about sitting down and eating an actual meal instead of stuffing a protein bar in my face and going back to my sewing. So I'm very pleased to introduce the sponsor of today's video, Green Chef. Green Chef is a CCOF certified organic company with meal kit options for all sorts of lifestyles like keto and paleo, vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, fast and fit, and Mediterranean. This is pork with apples and raisins, with roasted sweet potatoes and sauteed broccoli on the side. The ingredients were already measured out and portioned with most of the prep done. I did not have to chop sweet potatoes, for which I am very grateful. I also super appreciate that everything is packaged separately. I'm allergic to some really common flavorings like garlic. Yeah, I know. Avoiding them is really hard, but this way I can just skip them and still make the meal. And Green Chef offsets 100% of the plastic packaging and 100% of their carbon footprint and emissions, making them the most sustainable meal kit. The recipes are always changing, so I don't get bored of falling back on things I know, and I'm learning new cooking techniques at the same time. Extremely trafe, but extremely delicious too. And the spice blend on these is actually really, really good. If you would also like some cooking inspiration that comes with its own sustainably sourced ingredients, use my code SnappyDragon130 for $130 off plus free shipping on your first box. Go to greenchef.com for more details. Once again, you can use my code SnappyDragon130 for $130 plus free shipping off your first box. Go to greenchef.com for more details. Now, I am gonna finish my dinner, so I will send you back over to Sewing V to see what she's up to. All the panels have been sewn together in pairs, side front to front, side back to back, etc. Sewing the curved rise seams looks like it would be easier now than later on, so I matched both front pieces and both back pieces to each other at the center and pinned the curved seam. So far, I've used a regular straight stitch for the long seams since they won't need to stretch lengthwise. Now the fronts and backs are laid flat on top of each other, right sides together, and the out seams can be pinned and sewn. This way, the inseam can be done in one go, starting at the bottom of the left side, up to the center, and down the right side. I'm using the same method I always do to add a placket. 2 rectangles of the appropriate length, one twice as wide as the other. The wider one will extend an inch past the center back on the right, while the narrower one goes on the left as a reinforcement facing. To prevent the inner layers pulling away from the outer ones, I'm pad stitching them in place by hand. I put them on to do a test fitting and I figured out that they almost fit perfectly. I want to nip in the sides a little bit just because it's gaping a teeny bit in the waist, but also the front rise was falling a little bit weirdly, and I think it's because of that extra inch at the top that I should not have included, and I did. So we'll have to pull the front pieces out and sew them back in lined up slightly differently. I went back and looked at my mock-up and compared them, and I actually don't know whether I included that extra inch on the mock-up or not. Also, on the mock-up, I wasn't paying terribly close attention to the front rise because I was too busy making sure the back rise had enough room in it. So that's gonna be some annoying seam ripping and then a couple more long straight seams to sew, but it's not the end of the world. If you make mistakes, then you learn how to fix them. I tried the same waistband method I used on my Morticia Adams skirt, wrapping the fashion fabric over a piece of twill tape for stability. But that was actually super uncomfortable to move in, so I ripped it off and made a new one. This is just a strip of the red wool with the stretch going around my body. It's folded in half and one seam allowance is pressed in. The short ends are sewn together, and the long, unpressed edge attached to the waist, with great care so one doesn't stretch more than the other. For this seam, I am actually using a stretch stitch on my machine. The inside folded edge is felled down by hand, and the closure is finished with several hooks and eyes. To test the split skirt out as athletic wear, I wore it with a thrifted sweater in the style of 1890s sports sweaters. No corset, though, because I'll need too much core mobility. I picked a yoga video, turned on the camera, and put myself and the split skirt through their paces. And yes, I am actually working out on camera here, so please pardon the weird exercise faces. My mobility was great, no worse than in modern athletic clothes. I actually like these a bit better than most athletic leggings because they're so loose, there's no resistance from what I'm wearing. The only issue was not stepping on the hems, but that happens with modern wide-leg yoga pants too. This was a super fun project, and these will be a regular part of my wardrobe for both ordinary and athletic use. Thank you for joining me as I conquer my fear of sewing trousers. Tell me about your favorite clothes for movement down in the comments, subscribe for more adventures in real-world uses for historical garments, and click the like button while you're at it. I'll see you again soon. Bye!